Australians purchase organic food for health, environmental and ethical reasons. Organic farmers are concerned with protecting the environment and working in harmony with existing ecosystems.
Eating organic food is not really an option. We have to do it. It's essential for our survival on the planet. We don't want to continue to have all of these chemicals put out into the environment and into our bodies. We have an obligation to do it. We have a civil, environmental, community responsibility to eat organic food.
I recall what food tastes like from growing up in a small country town and growing my own organic vegetables. And then as an adult buying vegetables, they just don't taste the same.
You can buy organic food from some supermarkets, some greengrocers, health food shops, some fresh food markets, the internet and certified organic retailers.
When you're buying produce, fresh produce, there should be some detail about the grower and their certification numbers that you need to look for.
Organic foods are produced by farmers and food producers without using synthetic chemicals.
I think since the 90s onwards, food is just not food anymore.
We spend 5 times more on alcohol than we do on food, 5 times more on holidays than we do on food. We need to reshift or realign our values. Food should be a priority. It's the 3 things that affect our beings is what we think, what we do with our bodies, how we move our bodies, and what we eat. And if you want to live a long time and be happy, you have to attend to all 3 of those things.
Welcome back to Melbourne 22. In the studio today, we have with us Dave Hart, head instructor at Dominance Mixed Martial Arts. Dave, welcome to the show. We've also got Pharrell here as well. Guys, thanks for coming along to the show. How did you first get involved in mixed martial arts, Dave?
I started Taekwondo when I was a kid. Always interested in martial arts movies and all that sort of stuff. And then when I moved from the country to Melbourne after high school, watched the UFC, which is what most people know as cage fighting, and saw this little skinny Brazilian guy choking people out and wanted to find somewhere to do it.
You wanted to be that skinny Brazilian.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now, you're actually a black belt.
Yeah.
In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You look nervous.
I know, I was. I saw him like staring into it before. Can you tell people a little bit about how to get into that and what that involves?
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is predominantly focused on the ground, so it's grappling. If you weren't familiar with it, it just looked like 2 people rolling around the ground.
Yes.
But the main thing it focuses on is positional controls and then trying to choke people or break their joints.
Right, so you can do some serious damage.
Yeah, but when we're actually training and practicing, we don't go all the way through to choking someone to sleep or breaking their joints. We just tap, yep, you got me, and then start again.
You got me, you got me.
You got me, jokes.
Pharrell, what's your history with MMA?
Pretty much done it for about 4 or 5 years now. Mine was accidental. I just spotted one of the DVDs in the video store, and I don't know, just captured by the fighting and the thrill of it, and then I just wanted to get into it.
How important is moves like submissions in mixed martial arts?
It is very important because all fights, or the majority of the fights, end up going to the ground. So apart from striking whilst on the ground, you would go for submissions and other ways to tap out or submit your opponent. Yeah.
Is this a sport that anyone can get involved in, or is it a certain type of person that should do this sport?
Physical type or an emotional type?
Or either, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously certain people that gravitate towards training. So some people just want to get over whether it being bullied when they're a kid and want to feel like they're a little bit more confident and got some skills to handle themselves. Some people are actually just looking for a sport or a hobby that's a little bit more challenging and maybe don't necessarily like team sports. Yeah. But physically, it doesn't really matter. So we get a really big mix of people. Height, weight, just different body types, different ways of moving. The great thing about it is you can actually really make it fit the way that you like to think and move.
And do you have many women that get into this sport?
We do, yeah. Obviously it's predominantly males, but you do get a few women that do both the mixed martial arts and the jiu-jitsu as well.
There's so many different types of martial arts involved. These days, what sort of effect is it having with mixed martial arts on the individual martial arts? Are you noticing a big shift over to everybody taking on MMA now, and is that impacting all of the other types?
Yeah, it is. You get a lot of people that come in wanting to be MMA superstars, and the 3 main skill sets that are involved in that are striking, so predominantly Muay Thai or kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the ground, and then wrestling, which is what you see in the Olympics, the takedowns. So, for example, a skill set like wrestling that is really, really small in this country has actually got a few more people doing it now because they need to train it for their MMA skill set. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, same thing.
And Pharrell, how do you feel about the fact that sort of cage fighting in Melbourne is still an illegal sport?
Personally, I don't think it's the best decision at the moment. The cage was specifically designed for this sport, so the purpose behind why we're in the ring it still beats me. But I personally think that the cage was designed for the fighters for a reason, for all aspects in that case.
Dave, what do you see as the future of MMA?
It's getting bigger and bigger all the time. The first step will be in Melbourne that the cage does get legalised, and as Pharrell is saying, it really is for the safety of the fighters. As soon as that ends up passing through, it's going to accelerate really, really quickly. It's gaining popularity all the time. The UFC's run a couple of shows in Sydney. They're really keen to come to Melbourne. It brings something crazy like $10 million of revenue through when it does. So it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. We see more and more people coming through the gym all the time for it. So yeah, it's blowing up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dave and Pharrell, and best of luck with all your fighting.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Before we head off to a break, let's see who we spend 60 seconds with this week.
Shiatsu is for everybody. There isn't a category or a specific kind of person that it's tailored to. It's for everybody, and everybody should try it at least once. To make a diagnosis and then to apply an effective treatment. We treat the whole person. It's holistic healing. So it takes into account an individual person's entire world. It's about balancing the body and really making people aware of themselves and where they're at and what's going on with their bodies and in their lives. I just love working at something that I believe in. So I don't think it would matter how I did it, just so long as I'm doing it.
Coming up next on Melbourne 22.